And if you take all these, what we had together here, and compare before and after, this is before, you can get really cool sounds. What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to teach you 3 easy post-processing effects that will make your guns sound fatter and just better tone overall. So in this video, I'm going to show you just a gun patch that I actually did in a previous video, which you can check out if you want to learn how to actually make out like a Tearout bass in Serum. But today's more so like post-processing Tearout basses to make them unique. So I'm going to show you the process first, how to make it sound better. And then I'm also going to plug a free sample pack down below. It's like 20 Tearout one-shot, more like bass loops and glitches that I just made. The trade-off for the free sample pack is going to be my new song I just put out, which is Kaiwachi's Buried Beneath You, Wheysted Flip. And I'm also going to throw that in the download as well. So you'll get the track and you'll get the samples. All you have to do is like and share my track on SoundCloud and follow me on Instagram. But that's really it. You get a free track and you get a ton of samples, and you're going to learn how to make the samples even cooler on your own. I think that's a good deal. But let's dive into it. So as you can see here, let me move my Mac. As you can see here, we just have a couple different sound, which is the Whey gun, which I made in a previous video, which you can check out if you want to learn how to actually make this. Serum patch isn't all that important, but I'll pop it up real quick in case anyone wants to look at stuff. I'm gonna go to filters back here. Whoops, did not mean to mess with that. And matrix in case anyone wants to see it, but just go check out that video. I explain it pretty easily there. And it sounds like this, just coming out stock and just a little bit of G-clip on it. So it just sounds like a lot of noise and a percussion hit. But we will notice that it is sitting more in the mono, because how I do it in Serum. See, there's a lot of gap for my mids, so I'm going to use wider. You can use utility here, it doesn't really matter. It just makes it a little wider. A little more stereo heavy, that's all we're looking for. And then I'm just EQing some more high into that. Without it. So that's just basic TLC for getting the patch kind of sound full. The first tip is going to be a double disperser. Now, if you don't have disperser, you can use like the EQ8 disperser, which is putting a ton of EQ8s and macroing the EQ low frequency and moving it around. You can get that, but what I like to do is have 2 different dispersers at 2 different frequencies, one in the higher and one in the lower. Now the lower one's going to be doing a little emphasis on the sub without anything, once again. With low, you get a little more of that transient, and then when we add in the high, you get more of that clickiness of a bass. So you can do that to what you like. This isn't just like I slap this setting on and makes it good. I usually mess around and find settings that sound good to me. So disperser always sounds good. I like it usually somewhat earlier on in my processing chain, so other things can affect it. The next one's going to be convolver, or you can use a hybrid reverb using a snare or a clap. You'll see this from kind of like the Space Laces video I did, but just loading in a clap, which is just like a Tracy clap. So if I just find one of his are all generally the same. Yeah, something like that. And you go towards the front of the transient here. This is where you're going to have the best. I'll let you hear it by itself. But you're getting a nice tone, and this is another tonal shaping. Now, one thing I would recommend that I didn't do for the sake of this tutorial, but paralleling this with your dry signal, if you like your dry signal, and get rid of the low. That. So that way I can pair it with, and then have them together. Now, one thing you could do is you could actually have your wider more so on your convolver. So it kind of sounds like this altogether. I don't know. I'm going to get rid of convolver so we see it on span. Where we see our convolver is wider than our dry. So it's going to allow the tonality of the convolver chain to kind of stick out more because it's more stereo heavy. And we could even push this a little bit wider if we wanted to be honest. Like that. And then without it. And depending on what sample you use, where you use it, how long you make the convolver, you're going to get way different results. For example, if I slide this just slightly forward, like, let's say I like that. That's cool. That sounds good. Let's run with that. Next, we have two down. We have disperser and convolver. I'm going to add a little OTT. It's just going to act as a little glue compression for both of those. Without it, you can hear it sounds a little lower, which we can probably play with the highs. We can allow the highs to come out a little more. And allow a little more freedom on the low one. Without it, it just sounds a little more bricked. Finally, we have this rack, which is just my small room parallel rack. I like using it for space and as a parallel signal. These two you don't even need to worry about, honestly. We'll just get rid of them so you're not being confused. But I'm having a small room set at a very low decay where the cutoff is kind of higher. It sounds like this on its own, the small room parallel. And what I would generally want to do is low cut this. You don't want any low end. So when you pair that with the dry signal, you just get a kind of a bed. And if you take all these, what we had together here, and compare before and after, this is before, you can get really cool sounds. So, to go over, disperser, convolver, hybrid reverb, either or, and then you're going to have the small room preset, which, by the way, there's a small room preset. Parallel is mine, the old rack, and I just bring the decay down, low cut, boom. Dry wet all the way up whenever you're making your rack. And that's all that really difference is happening there. So I had some fun. I was making some basses, like I said, for something bigger later on in the year. But I'm gonna give you guys a little sneak peek of just some sound design and some fun I had. And here's a drop that I made with this in like 5 minutes. There's really no build up, so here we go. And you can see I color coded what the samples are from. I have these all listed here. So you're gonna get 14 gun samples and 7 glitches, so 21 samples in total. But another cool trick, actually, I'm just gonna throw in here for fun because a lot of people don't know about this, and this is how you can make really cool sustains. Normally doesn't work well with Tearout basses, but you can drag in, which I drug in this Whey bass 10, and you can just sample a very, very small area. What you're going to do is make sure you have your root note right, and you're going to go to this sustain mode and set up your parameters. And you could turn a bass into like a sustain. Like as I extend this further, and you can make your own sustain out of it, which I just cut out the low. I just put a little OTT on this, saturated it, didn't end up using that, didn't end up using that, and then just gave it a little high end, and you have your own. Which sounds really cool in this section. Almost kind of sounds like a sudden death, kind of like guttural sustain. So there's a bonus tip for you guys. Go ahead and download the pack for free. Go support my new flip of Kaiwachi's Buried Beneath You. Go get that free download for the DJs out there and producers that want to analyze it. And I hope you guys have a great day. That's all I really had. So take care. Peace.